Welcome back to my channel, ASMR with Neve, and welcome if you are new here. Today's video is the start of my sort of Halloween-y themed videos, and we are going to be reading ghost stories on Reddit. So these are real life stories that have happened to people, so they're not all completely ghost stories, but it's all pretty freaky, pretty suspicious. So if you are easily scared, maybe don't watch this video, but I think it's going to be pretty interesting. It's the evening when I'm filming this, so maybe it's not the best time for me to be reading these kind of things, but we are just going to be brave and go for it. Let me know if there are any other Halloween type videos that you want to see. I've got a few in mind, but of course I'm always open to your ideas. And before we get into the video, I mentioned this in my last video, but I just wanted to say again that I have made a Twitter account, which is at ASMR with Neve, so follow me on there if you want updates about my channel and the videos and everything like that. So let's start. I'm just going to be reading them from my laptop over here. So this is on the Ask Reddit thread. A lot of these are just from the Ask Reddit thread. Okay. Was driving along and found a girl just standing in the middle of the road. This is from a cop, by the way. That is probably quite important. My initial thoughts was to just tell her to pay attention, but it was clear that the white lights were on, nobody was home. That while the lights were on, nobody was home. During my whole time with her, she never uttered a word. I was left in a weird situation. She had done nothing, clearly needed help, but medically nothing seemed wrong. As I'm pondering on what on earth to do, the girl suddenly starts spinning. Now, spinning is not illegal, and I'm starting to think this girl is one of those protesters that wind up the police. So I think crack on, spin to your heart's content. Then she loses her balance and falls, whacking her head on the side of the police car. So I call an ambulance, but she seems fine, still not talking, but she is looking up at the sky. It's a nice day, so fine, enjoy the sun. I do some writing and look back at her, now bright red in the face and watering eyes, and realise she is trying to damage her retinas by forcing herself to look directly at the sun. That's a new one on me now, so I'm holding a book or something above her to shield her eyes. Ambulance arrives and we get to hospital, and she has now forgotten how to walk. Now I'm 99% sure she's a wind-up merchant, but I get her a wheelchair. In the wheelchair she strikes up a little I'm a teapot pose and keeps this up for the next hour. Zero movement, she's just frozen with her arms out. So I now have three potential situations. 1. She is pretending to be frozen in time. 2. She is suffering from a mental health issue. 3. She is being possessed. By now I'm convinced it's the latter, but I section her and leave her with professionals. A week later, I call the hospital and they tell me that she is still frozen. That's pretty freaky. Someone commented saying, I wonder if she's still in the teapot mode to this day. I wonder as well, because the story's from 3 years ago. So I wonder what happened there. Let me know what you think happened in that story. I don't really know what to think. That's really weird. So we're going to carry on with the stories from police officers. My brother is a deputy, and at the time I worked as an EMT for a few small towns in the northeast Colorado, so this is in America. I frequently went on ride-alongs with him while waiting for 911 calls to come in. This took place in Amherst, Colorado. This town is very small. Amherst has about 50 people, a church, some houses, a grain tower, and a park. It was about 3 a.m. and we were about to call it a night. As we were making our last check on Amherst, we noticed movement at the park, but couldn't tell exactly what was going on because it was pitch black. We drove up and stopped alongside the dirt road. flipped on the spotlight, and as we moved the light around the park, it finally settled on the back of a young girl, maybe 13, sitting on a swing with her back facing us. We left the spotlight on her. She wasn't moving. She just sat there facing away from us, looking down at the ground. Needless to say, it was a very creepy situation. We both looked at each other with that face you make when something is out of the ordinary. I quickly suggested that we should call her over by using the PA system. He agreed. As we looked back over, she was gone. I mean, no signs of anyone anywhere. The park was in a wide open area. She couldn't have gotten out of sight in the amount of time that we had our exchange of words. I remember saying, maybe we should go out and look for her. Maybe she hid behind one of the park toys or something. My brother just looked at me and said, hell doesn't know, and drove away. It still creeps me out to this day. That is really creepy. I would hate that. Like, my stomach would just be like in knots. That would really, really freak me out. Okay, the next story is from a 911 dispatcher. So those are the people who receive the calls and respond to them. Received a call from an elderly lady who had trouble breathing. I had taken several calls from her and her husband in the past, so I recognised her voice. I dispatched an ambulance to her residence and held her on the line to keep her calm while the ambulance was responding. Ambulance advised that they give a 15-minute ETA. She lived in a very rural area. I'm talking to her, asking about her husband and how he's doing, and just making small talk with her. The ambulance calls in and they advises they are on the scene, and I let them know she's in severe respiratory distress, and I still had her on the line. I let her know the ambulance is coming to the door to go answer the door, and she says okay and hangs up the phone. Pretty normal, yeah? Well, here's when it gets weird. The EMT and paramedic on scene call back a minute later and say that no one is answering the door. We have a sheriff unit who was in the area pulling on scene about that time. The sheriff unit confirmed the address and advised he is breaching the door to make access to the PT. 5 minutes go by and the paramedic radios in asking who the caller was. I advised it was the elderly female who lived at the residence. He tells me that he's going to call in and needs to speak with the supervisor who's on shift. We get him over to the supervisor and the supervisor confirms the information that I gave him and asks what's going on. Apparently, the elderly female has been dead for a while and was already in full rigor mortis. They thought I was on the wrong caller, but the other dispatchers played it back and confirmed that it was the female that called. The ambulance transferred the hospital and we got the same calls and disbelief from doctors. So I took a call from a ghost. That is really freaky because medically speaking, like, if they say that she's been dead for a while, there'll be obvious signs of that. There wouldn't be any sort of doubt over that. So that is really, really creepy. I wonder if it was someone else on the phone or if it was genuinely a ghost on the phone. But honestly, I don't really believe in ghosts. But things like that do, like, if that happened to me, I probably would believe in them. But nothing like that has happened to me. And touch wood, nothing will happen to me like that because I don't want that freaky situation. But yeah, that if that happened to me, I would definitely think ghosts were real. Okay, so the next thread I'm on is Redditors who go into people's houses for their job. What is the strangest / creepiest thing you've ever seen or experienced? So this one at the top says, a few years ago, I was volunteering with the city council, helping people clean their houses after the neighbourhood I lived in had been flooded. One house belonged to a Chinese couple who ran the local convenience store. They had asked our crew to help remove water-damaged carpet from the ground floor rooms of their house so it could be thrown away. As we were removing this carpet, we realised that it ran in one piece under a closed door and into a locked room. So we asked the lady of the house if she wanted us to cut it off at the door and leave whatever was in the locked room behind, or if she wanted us to open the room and have us remove the carpet in there as well. She responded, "I'll check with my husband what to do. That's his special room." This led to some nervously puzzled looks from our crew. What does a middle-aged Chinese man who owns a convenience store keep in his special room? Eventually, the wife came back with a set of keys and told us that we could remove the carpet in the room, and she unlocked the door. We all crowded around as the door opened to reveal a room with carpet up the walls, a mirror ball on the ceiling, a stage at one end with a PA sound system, a projector, and in the corner, just about the fanciest karaoke machine I'd ever seen. A special room indeed. So that's not really creepy, but I guess that is pretty strange, and a bit of a twist ending I wasn't expected. So the next one is from a firefighter. So he says, "It's pretty normal for him to find a dead body, but one will always stay with me. There was this middle-aged guy who lived in his van out in a parking lot, somewhat out of town. He never bothered anybody, so the police just let him stay there. It was around the middle of July in Arizona, so about 105 to 110 degrees heat. That's Fahrenheit, I presume. And we got a call to go and check on him. Nobody had seen him for a while, and somebody had complained of a foul odour coming from his van. We all knew what we were going to find, but nothing could prepare us for what we actually came across. I opened the back door to his van and a cloud of flies flew out, so thick you couldn't see it. I was immediately punched in the face by the stench of death, and when the flies cleared out, we finally got a look what was in there. The guy had been dead for at least 2 weeks, and his cats had survived by eating the fleshier parts of his body. I've seen my fair share of dead bodies, but something about a guy who'd been in a van for 2 weeks in Arizona's summer heat with cats eating his body, that just sticks with you. God, that's really horrible. These seem like less freaky in terms of like their real life, but still, that is a really horrible thing to find. I used to install Dish Network for a living. I was installing it for an elderly lady who complained that her sister's TV always showed the same thing hers did. I had a 2 TV installation order, so I figured that would be okay. I finished the installation and was demonstrating the system when she looked at the full-length mirror and complained that her sister's TV was still showing the same thing. Noped out of there as quick as I could and left notes on the account in case she called in. That's a bit freaky. Next thing. A couple of years ago, I worked for a cleaning company. One of my first days on the job, I was cleaning a woman's house and entered a room on the second floor that, I kid you not, was full of only clocks and mirrors. I've never been so aware of my own mortality. That is weird. People do weird things, right? Okay, now we're going to move on to campers of Reddit. What is the scariest, creepiest, most disturbing thing that has happened to you in the woods? Okay. When I was younger, around 14 or 15 years old, my family used to camp at a state park. Every night, my friend and I would walk through the woods. We called this the ritual. This particular night, we decided to walk further into the woods than usual. We had flashlights, but we liked to try and navigate through the woods with them turned off. We were about half a mile from the nearest campsite when we heard a soft whispering behind us. Obviously, we hit the flashlights on and spun around. Didn't see anything, so we kept walking and we heard it again. This time we stopped and looked around a bit before we decided to head back to our campsite. Then we see what's whispering. It's a lady crawling around on the dirt, whispering just random words. She was wearing dark clothes and was covered in dirt. When she sees that we notice her, she stands up and declares that she is looking for her campsite. We ended up walking her back to the campground and helping her find her group. Turns out she was just super drunk / high and got lost trying to find a bathroom. Her friends didn't even notice she was missing, and if we didn't go that far into the woods, she would have been lost there all night. It was pretty creepy. That's horrible. That is literally horrible. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I would be helping. I think I'd be running away, telling someone, and then coming back with other people to help them. Because, no, like, it wouldn't be worth me putting myself in danger for that, in case it was, like, someone that was dangerous or something. So, let's move on to the next one. Went camping in Ginny Springs in Florida about 10 years ago, and sometime at night I heard that sound you hear in movie/TV of a huge tree falling. Didn't think anything of it. About 10 minutes later, I started hearing lots of people talking outside my tent, so I got out and discovered the tree fell on someone's tent close by and killed them. A helicopter had to come and lift them out. That's horrible. That's really, really horrible. Okay, next. Safari guide here. Woke up one morning with something very warm, rather soft and comfy on my back. Realised my back was against the canvas of the tent. Realised it was an animal. It was a really cold winter night. The temperature drops close to 0 here in the low veld. WTF. As I moved a bit, I heard the voice from my body from his tent. He spoke a bit hushed and with a definite tremble in his voice. Are you awake? Stupid me with a strong voice replied, yes. The animal next to me got up and luckily ran away. It was a big male lion. Oh my god. That's horrible. Oh my god, he had a cuddle with a lion at night. Oh my god, that's so lucky that I didn't eat him or attack him or anything, because lions can do some serious damage. Obviously, they've got huge teeth, they're big predators, they have killed humans in the past. Oh my god, that's so scary. Okay, so the last thread we're gonna have a look through is Urban Explorers of Reddit. What was your creepiest/most horrifying experience? So, people that go and visit abandoned buildings and things like that. I think that's what it means. This one is quite a long one. Okay. I went to an abandoned hospital. There was a large square staircase spiralling up to the roof on the outside of the building. Locked steel door at the bottom, so the only way was to climb up on the outside to the first landing. My buddy boosts me up. I climb over and there's a sleeping bag with a steak knife next to it on the landing. I call down, we're definitely not alone here, dude. No, but it's cool, says a voice behind me, scaring the shit out of me and causing me to jump and whirl around. There's a young, dirty, homeless-looking guy standing there, coming down the stairs from above, hands up, palms out. Didn't mean to scare you. He takes a seat on the stairs, so I carefully step on the handle of the steak knife, lean over the edge and pull my friend up. We had planned to sit on the roof and drink beer, so we offer the homeless guy a beer, which he gratefully accepts, and we shoot the shit on the landing for a while. We're talking about the city. I've never heard that phrase before, but I'm presuming it just means talking. The cops, travelling, life in general. He's basically a drifter, been in town for a week or so, but a nice guy. Things are going pretty well when he asks, you guys are human, right? I fucking hate it when I meet people that end up being aliens, and you never know until you peel their skin off. They've been after me for a long time, you know. They don't stop. They never stop. Sometimes I think I should just kill everyone to be safe. So that's what the guy said. He's definitely not joking, and there's an uncomfortable silence as my friend and I realise this guy is fucking crazy. Sorry for swearing, but I'm just reading it as it is written. Yeah, man, I say, we're human. We just wanted to check out the place and drink some beer. We're gonna go ahead and move on now. We definitely don't want any trouble. He just stares in silence, so we leave him the last beer, carefully back up to the railing, jump down and walk our way very quickly, constantly looking back over our shoulders. The entire time he's just standing there, still and silent, watching us leave. That place is still abandoned 5 years later, and we've never been back. I'm not a believer in the supernatural, but humans can be deceptive and dangerous in ways you can't see coming. That is freaky. That's a really dangerous situation, because you never know, like, he had a knife, you never know what someone's mental state is. They could just flip on you and harm you, so that is super freaky. Okay, I'm gonna do one more story now, and then we're gonna end the video. A group of my friends and I explored an abandoned asylum / mental hospital a couple years ago in the OKC metro. Very unsafe at night for silly college freshmen like ourselves. The first experience we had was all of us taking our merry time, enjoying the darkness and generally fucking around. You have to come in through a broken window, and we were all gathered at the window just being dumb when we hear loud echoing footsteps down the hall running towards us. We all did that "who the heck is this, who's messing with us" look and turn, and after realising we're all present and none of us are sprinting down a dark abandoned hallway, booted out of there. The second time we could hear a group of people messing with us, jumping from around corners and such, but they never got too close. We assumed it was an animal at first, but got brave and realised it was a person. We managed to catch up to them, and after staring at a collection of seemingly drugged up to 20-somethings who begged us for cans of paint and cigarettes, we got the not so good vibes and tried to leave. The leader of the haunted asylum cronies asked if we had jewellery, which we denied. He then said the creepiest thing I've heard in my life. "I like jewellery. I take it off the girls here when they sleep." We fucking bolted. Okay, so those are the end of the sort of creepy, scary stories I have for you today. I think only a couple of them were like ghost stories, I guess, if you will, but they were all pretty scary to me. I wouldn't like any of those to happen to me in real life. Let me know if you've had anything weird happen to you, anything creepy, anything ghostly, sort of suggesting supernatural things. Let me know. I'd be so interested to hear, because I always find it super interesting when that's actually happened to someone in real life, because things like that haven't really happened to me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you again really, really soon in my next one.